Hello and welcome back to another episode of Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idle. Well, you know what this hat means? It's another anime video. And since my last video of the day yesterday was about the new 2023 Rurouni Kenshin Remake, it only makes sense that the last video of today would be about the same topic, since an article popped up yesterday after I finished that video about how anime fans are encouraging others to avoid the new Rurouni Kenshin. Anime fans remind everyone that Rurouni Kenshin's creator is a convicted pedophile charged with possessing child pornography ahead of its revival. Okay, so obviously, I was telling people not to watch it for a completely different reason. Namely, that it is an unnecessary, probably soulless remake, when they could just continue the series from where the original left off. So let's get into this, because yes, technically it's true, however, there are some things that I wonder if they'll bring up, and if not, I'd like to give more nuance to this story, because it's a little bit more complicated than just, he's a convicted pedophile. Let's go through here. With the upcoming revival of the popular classic anime Rurouni Kenshin coming up, the anime fans have been taking to social media to remind others to avoid watching the reboot. Longtime anime fans, including former supporters of the franchise, have been putting out PSAs reminding potential viewers that Rurouni Kenshin's creator, Nobuhiro Nishiwaki, known professionally as Nobuhiro Watsuki, is a convicted pedophile who was found guilty of possessing child pornography in 2018. Alright, like I said, there is actually more nuance to this. I am going to go further in the article before I explain, because they might do so, and depending on how they cover it, is obviously going to depend on how I want to approach said nuance. So, let's just keep going for the time being. You will get my opinions shortly. Here's a couple tweets, it looks like. Reminder that author Nobuhiro Watsuki is an actual pedophile who got caught with so much CP they thought he was a distributor. He was only given a fine, 0 jail time, and temporary suspension from Jump as a punishment. Do not give this man your money. All coverage of Rurouni Kenshin should come with this quote from author Nobuhiro Watsuki attached. In his deposition, Watsuki has said that he liked girls in late elementary school to around second year of middle school. Possession of child pornography in Japan can lead to imprisonment for up to 1 year, a fine of up to 1 million yen, about 8,800 US, or both. Reminders from fans were straight to the point, with one highlighting the fact that police believe Watsuki was a distributor of child pornography. Reminder that the author Nobuhiro Watsuki... Oh yeah, okay, that's just the tweet we already saw. The punishment for reselling a used face mask in Japan is way worse than Nobuhiro Watsuki, creator of Rurouni Kenshin, got for possessing so much child pornography they thought he might be a housing distribution ring. I won't be watching Rurouni Kenshin's reboot, as its creator, Nobuhiro Watsuki, is involved and is an admitted pedo who was caught with child porn, not drawing, despite RK having little to no sexualization of minors compared to other shonen. End of discussion. And here's an article from a long time ago, I'm sure we all remember it. Okay, Watsuki admitted to the crime. Here is where hopefully they're going to get into some of the subtle nuances. According to authorities, Watsuki possessed a large number of DVDs with footage of young girls in the nude, which he stored in an office in Tokyo. Additionally, they searched Watsuki's home as a separate part of the investigation regarding the purchase of child pornography. During his deposition, Watsuki admitted to the crime and confessed to liking girls in late elementary school to around the second year of middle school. Numerous anime lovers have pointed out that Watsuki possessed so much child porn that police suspected him of distribution. Although possession of such materials is punishable by up to 1 year imprisonment or a fine of up to 1 million yen, about 8.9k in 2017's conversion rate, according to the Act of Punishment of Activities Relating to Child Prostitution and Child Pornography and the Protection of Children, the Tokyo Summary Court ordered Watsuki to pay a fine of 200,000 yen, roughly $1,900 at the time. Watsuki received support from his publisher and his colleagues. During the investigation, Rurouni Kenshin's publisher, Shueisha, suspended its serialization in the middle of the manga's Hokkaido arc, a collaborative effort between Watsuki and his novelist wife, Kaoru Kurosaki. Shueisha released a statement saying, "We received the report, and as a company, we take it very seriously. The author is deeply remorseful. The Rurouni Kenshin Hokkaido arc, which is being serialized in Jump Square, will be put on hiatus as of the December 4th issue." At the time, fans were shocked by the news due to how moral the manga's storyline was. Japanese publishers quickly distanced themselves from the criminal activity, so fans' hope weren't high for the continuation of the series. However, fans didn't have to wait long to learn about Rurouni Kenshin's fate. After Watsuki paid his fines, Shueisha announced the manga would resume serialization in June 2018. In the statement, the publisher said, "The author spends his days reflecting and with remorse, and think as though it's our obligation as a publisher, as well as his as an author, make a way for us to reply through the work to how various opinions we've been getting." And so, from the July issue, which goes on sale June 4th, serialization will resume. Rurouni Kenshin's Hokkaido arc became a top-selling manga in the first half of 2019, after resuming publication. Additionally, many of his colleagues, including One Piece creator Eiichiro Oda, his friend and mentor, supported him. Oda in particular interviewed Watsuki ahead of Rurouni Kenshin's 25th anniversary celebrations in what some called a heartwarming interview. 14 other manga artists celebrated Rurouni Kenshin receiving an exhibition for his 25th anniversary. Here's Oda's message to Rurouni Kenshin exhibition that starts this month. The author Watsuki, Oda's mentor, said he should reduce the number of 10 swords, an antagonist group. Oda made a similar statement in 2017 that he should have reduced the number of Shichibukai. Aside from Oda, 14 mangakas sent celebration messages to Watsuki, including Kishimoto, Sorachi, Shimbukuro, Obata, Inagaki, Yabuki, Hiroyuki Takei, Yusui, Matsui, Shinya Suzuki, Kazuhiro Fujita, Nobuyuki Anzai, I knew I would mess up eventually, Yasuhiro Naitao, Katsunori Matsui, and Miko Ito. While other anime series experienced fallout from illegal or immoral activities from cast and crew members, including Pokemon Journeys, which needed to remove the opening arrangement done by Hideketsu Tanaka after the police charged him with attempted forcible indecency, and Mob Psycho 100, Reigen Arataka, voice actor Takahiro Sakurai, having a decade-long extramarital affair with a staff member, few are associated with what is arguably an especially heinous crime. Considering the severity of Watsuki's crime, fans asked one another not to separate the art from the artist. While some were concerned about how boycotting the anime will affect the studio, knowledgeable anime enthusiasts pointed out that everyone involved in the production of the Rurouni Kenshin revival has already been paid and won't receive royalties for viewership. Therefore, supporting the anime will only lead to more money-making opportunities for Watsuki. Okay, so they didn't cover the nuances at all. I'm not surprised. Comic Book Resources is well known for being one of the most garbage takes in all of the nerdosphere. So, it's time for me to talk to you about how we should actually look at this. Yes, of course, there is the argument for separating the art from the artist, but it actually goes deeper than that. You have to understand about the culture of Japan, which is vastly different than the culture here in the West, be it America, Europe, Canada, whatever. Were his crimes heinous? Yeah, but really only by our Western standards. You see, the type of materials that he had were actually very commonplace and legal up until 2016. Or maybe it was 2014. Either way, very recent before his arrest. At which point, the Japanese government gave any possessors of said material a 2-year grace period to get rid of all of it. The thing was, he didn't get rid of his. So, you have to look at it from that culture's perspective and not our own Western perspective. That was a world and a culture where what he was doing was fine and normal. Now, we can argue whether it should be fine or normal. That's a completely different argument, because in the way he grew up, it had always been legal. Honestly, no different than the way we think of pot. How often do we talk about how weed should be legal in all these states, and how it could create so much revenue? So many people saw nothing wrong with smoking weed. Obviously, in my opinion, and I imagine the vast majority of people's opinion, there's obviously a difference between weed and child pornography. One is, of course, vastly worse than the other, considering the other one's not a problem at all. But in the culture of Japan, it's actually a pretty apt comparison. So, when you look at it like that, an entire culture was just told, this thing that we've said has been okay for years and years and years is not okay now, get rid of it. How would you react to that? Again, take your Western sensibilities out of it. Japan also has a very different view of paying your debts to society. If you commit a crime, you do the time, you pay your fine, whatever. Typically, it's accepted in Japan that you're welcome back into society as normal. You're not judged, or it's not held over your head that you are a criminal or that you have a criminal past. So by continuing the serialization, it only furthers that is part of Japan's culture. He did the crime, he paid his fine, he can continue with life as normal. His debt to society was paid. So yes, you can have all these gripes as to what he did and whether it was wrong or not, how it was handled once he was able to come back after his fines were paid, but you're doing it with a very Western eye, and that's not fair to that sort of culture. Everyone wants to talk about cultural appropriation this, America's so bad that. Well, then stop applying your Eurocentric and American concepts of morality to cultures you know nothing about. It is unfair to them, and frankly, it only goes to show your own ignorance, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but even possibly racism, because you think your way is better. Now, in this instance, I would agree. Our way is better. Of course, children need protected. Of course, something like that is heinous. But that's because we grew up in a culture where that was normal. Think about the, 1940s. It was relatively normal for wives to only speak when spoken to be meek, to do their husband's bidding. I'm glad we've evolved past that. We shouldn't live in a world like that. But if you were alive and around in that time period, that's the role you would have fit into, regardless of your gender. If you were a woman, you would have been submissive. If you were a man, you probably would have been domineering. And you can't sit there and claim, well, I would have broken the mold. I would have been different. I would have been the one to stand up. No, you wouldn't have, most likely. People are molded by the societal and cultural rules that they're born into. As they change, so do the generations of individuals. So, while we consider ourselves very progressive and moral, there are some aspects of the East that just weren't like that and shouldn't be looked at by us like that. So, I personally say, don't support this. But not because of this side of it, not because of the mentality of, oh, he's a pedophile. That is disingenuous to the Japanese culture you claim to love when you're watching this anime. Instead, like I said yesterday, I say don't watch it because we don't need any more soulless remakes. We need more original IPs and content. Maybe watch it once it's picked up where the original anime left off. That being said, I only scratched the surface of this. There is a beautiful episode of Bonsai Pop that covers this in much, much more detail. Rurouni Kenshin, The Art of Redemption. And it draws parallels to how a manga and anime about redemption of your sins, Rurouni Kenshin, can so aptly be applied to the mangaka's real life in this post-accusation and admission of guilt world. So, I'm going to leave a link to that in the description below. After you finish this video, I really do recommend you watch it, especially if you're on the fence as to whether you should support Watsuki or not. And with that, I would once again ask you to please like, comment, subscribe, separate the art from the artist, try to understand the culture better, and to repeat myself, subscribe, because, I'm trying to grow this channel and it would mean the world to me. Follow me on Twitter at BoltTheWord, and this has been Words of Paradise.